Starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. This is Mark Raymakers here with Insurance Agency Marketing Services. Thank you for taking time to join us here this morning on our webinar for multi-generational gifting. One of the things that we're doing here this morning is recording the webinar, so once we are done, I will email this over to you and you can certainly review it at your leisure. I wanted to say one thing about this webinar here this morning is we do a lot of wealth transfer, and we have a lot of cases where advisors bring to us a situation where maybe they've got a senior client who has some legacy intentions, but maybe there's some issues that it doesn't necessarily work to set up a life insurance contract for them for a number of reasons, and certainly we'll go through those. But that's what has really led us to this particular webinar that we're doing here this morning, and hopefully it'll give you a chance to think about some potential prospects or clients that you're working with that might be a good fit for this particular strategy. So I'd encourage you to jot names down as we're going through this here today. You can answer or ask any questions that you have. Just type those in the question box, and I'll certainly address those as we go. Now, one thing I'm going to go through real quick here for some of you I noticed have been on our webinars before. I do see some new names here. We're going to go through a few things about insurance agency marketing services and how we can help you. So this is kind of a little infomercial part of it. I'm going to have a couple of polls that I'll ask you to participate in, and the quicker we get through these, the quicker we can get through the meat of the webinar here this morning. So again, let's just go through some things that we can do for you real quick here, how we help our advisors and producers. One of the things that we do is we love to welcome new advisors to our IAMS services. And so one of the things we do here is we've got a 3-tier new producer bonus. And you'll notice that the first one here is 100,000 level. And what this means is it's dollar for dollar for single premium life, or dollar for annuities, or it's a fraction of that for traditional target life premium. And so, first of all, if you hit the 100,000 point level, you have a choice between one of the three, and that's the case for each one of these tiers. But the first one, you can have a $750 cash bonus or a 2-year subscription to a website newsletter service. And of course, that's one you can buy into if you opt to set up a website. If you haven't done that, I encourage you to do that. Josh in our office can help you get a website set up in one day. You might opt not to take advantage of either one of those two and just get an iPad. I noticed that a lot of companies are moving towards that type of technology where you can just utilize an iPad complete electronic app. It's very simple. It lightens your briefcase, so to speak, when you go into an appointment. You could certainly wait to get to the 300,000 level where you could utilize the full Social Security program and 3,000-piece postcard mailing. That's really popular. You'd have to learn Social Security, but the nice thing is you get a chance to sit in front of more seniors and do a review of their what they have, and that's where the sale is really made, is going through and looking at repositioning and good planning for them. If you opt not to take advantage of that, there's the $2,000 matching marketing money to promote your business, or a $1,500 gift card. Now, the last level is really designed towards seminar selling. So we've got 2 gentlemen here that are top producers of ours. They do a lot of seminar selling. And the first one is a 5,000-piece mailing seminar coaching with Matt Gill. Or there's a 4,000-piece mailing seminar coaching with Dave Pemper. They both have a great way of doing theirs. So if you're familiar with seminars, if you've done them before, you want to potentially go back into doing that, this is a great way to get in front of a lot of senior potential buyers. And we'd encourage you to take advantage of that. You can certainly buy into those if you want, or you can earn those. And then lastly, there's the Ritz-Carlton Travel Rewards. You can make your own personal getaway. Something that we do every year was we do run a top producers escape. And what this is for producer and guest. This year, we're having this in Scottsdale, Arizona at the Boulders Resort and Spa. The trip date is February 25th through the 28th. And if you look at the bottom, you'll see qualify with any combination. So anything that you write with us accumulates points for that particular trip. And that started July 1st of last year, goes through December 31st of this year. So there's still plenty of time to qualify for that. And anything that you do, again, will certainly count towards that. Now, we also do a lot of, whether it be social media marketing, or branding your business, all the way up to television advertisements. If you're not getting that service today and you want to do something, I would encourage you to call and ask for Josh. He'll talk to you about the different things that they can do to help you. You can either earn this through production, or you can certainly take advantage of the services through purchasing whatever you want to do. But I encourage you to give Josh Trecarton a call in our office if you want to do something like that. Here's our first poll question. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this up real quick here. We've got we call it basically a 2-day training, but it does involve 3 days. So here's what we're going to do. If you would just mark yes or no real quick as I explain this to you, then we'll go get on to the next part of the webinar here this morning. But so what we do is we bring speakers in from across the country, and they're going to talk about a number of different things. So when I mentioned to you about Matt Gill and Dave Pimper's seminar approach, they'll be there. You'll see what they do. But this isn't a product training. This is sales concepts to help you to grow your life business, to help you to grow your annuity business. A lot of advisors come in here because they want to incorporate life or annuities into their current practice. And so there's a lot of opportunities for you to learn about different sales techniques and strategies. And so what we do is we pay for your airfare. So we're going to fly you in on a Wednesday. We pay for your meals. We pay for your lodging. So what we do is we do a few short presentations Wednesday evening with dinner. We do a full day training on Thursday, and we do a half a day training on Friday, and then we get you back home. So this is a great way for you to grow your business. And I noticed great response here, so thank you for that. But if you're interested in knowing more, you're interested in getting an agenda, we have one scheduled in September and then one more scheduled in November of this year. So there's only 2 opportunities left. And by marking yes, what we'll do is we're going to email you out an application. We'll email you out an agenda. So phenomenal response. I'm going to go ahead and 87% of you voted. So thank you for that. And this is a great way to grow the business. And that's why we do this. We figure that an educated, well-trained advisor is going to be more successful. And that is proven when we look at the agents that attend this event. They're very successful and they're constantly investing in themselves through training. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to close the poll here. Wow, good response. 94%. So basically what we'll do then is after the webinar, we have your email address. We'll go ahead and email you the application, the agenda for this. And then we'll be in touch with you here as far as the dates. But I believe the event we have in September is the second week of September, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then again in November. All right, got 100% participation. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and close this. We're going to move on to the next part of paperless contracting. I'm telling you this because if you are new to us, or maybe you've currently contracted with us and you've never gone through what we refer to as our paperless contracting, you complete one contract, we hold it on file. And then if you ever want to add another carrier to your portfolio, you just need to say, hey, Mark, I need to add this company on. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll just contact the company, provide them the information, and you're done. So it's very simple. So I'd encourage you to keep that in mind. You just need to go out to our website, which is one way to get to that, or ask any one of the marketers to provide you with the agent data packet or the paperless contracting. They'll email it over to you. But our website, www.iamsinc.com, and you'll notice everything is on there. So if you were ever to need a term quote, if you were to call us for a term quote, it's on there. And again, this is available for 24/7. Obviously, as the internet is, it doesn't shut down. But this is nice for you if you have an appointment before or after hours or on the weekend and we're not here. Or maybe you just want to pull it up and just obtain any form that you want or quote that you want. It's certainly out there for you. And so keep that in mind as you're kind of looking around. You can see what we have available there. Our staff is on there as well, so a lot of good stuff. So, okay, what happened here to this slide? It's blank. You know, I'm just going to speak to this real quick here. We've set up our own RIA, and so for a lot of you with the DOL now, obviously Friday was a big day, continues to be a big day in our business, but with the DOL, we've created our own RIA. And, you know, I apologize that the information that we want on here, I don't know what happened to this particular slide, but I'm just going to put this out here real quick. And just to find out if you want to know more about our RIA, and if you've not completed or you don't have your Series 65, if you have questions about that, or maybe what's happened with the DOL. But what we can do is we've got our own broker-dealer arrangement set up, so you could really funnel your business, all of your business through us now, whether you're managing money or not. And if you're not doing that and you're considering doing it, we can help offset the cost. We'll help you pay for your 65. And so the nice thing about that is you really become a one-stop shop for all of your clients' investments, insurance, etc., by running everything through the wealth management department. And so if you're interested in knowing more about that, what I'll do is I'll have that department give you a call, and they can talk through what we have available and how we can help you in that side of your business as well. So it's a great way for you to make more money. It's a great way for you to offer more benefits to your clients, and it's a great way to be, I guess, DOL compliant. So pretty good response there. I'll have those gentlemen give you a call here. If not today, it'd be tomorrow. So just by marking yes, at least I'll have a contact who's interested to find out more about IAMS Wealth Management RIA program. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, good response there. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. If you decide you want to know more about it, just call our office here and ask for IAMS Wealth Management. Okay, retirement analyzer. So I'm going to go through this here quickly so we can get into the hardest webinar. But this here retirement analyzer, if you don't have a software program to help do a holistic approach for your clients, this is a great program. If you're computer savvy, it's good for you. If you can't find the on-off switch for your computer, you probably would not want to take advantage of this. But this really does a nice job of helping you to plan with your clients to see if they can retire when they want to retire and if they're going to have a surplus or deficit or not. And there's a lot of stuff on here. It's nice because you can put all of your client information on a flash drive. If you go to their office or their home or wherever, you have everything right there. And so it's really a great program. I would encourage you, if you're not using something today for planning for your clients, call and ask for anyone in the annuity marketing, and they can visit with you on that. All right, one last thing here before we get going. Couple things we have here. I'm going to talk about the referred producer program first. So what this is if you refer an agent to us, and I'm sure you appreciate referrals, they're a great way to grow your business just like it is for us. And so what we do is we have a thank you in the form of cash. So if you refer an agent over to us, they get contracted. Just because they contract, we're going to send you a check for $50. And that's for every person you refer over. Once they start writing business, we're going to start paying you for their business. Now, you're not going to have to worry about commissions. You don't have to worry about their chargebacks. They're not going to take a reduction in commission. This is just a way of saying thank you. So if you say, for example, send us 3 producers, write $1 million in combined single premium life, annuities, traditional life, that's $6,000 in cash for you, because we're going to pay basically 20 basis points on everything that they do. And this goes on as long as they're writing business. So each quarter, you'll receive a check for their business. So if you think of anybody that might be a good referral that we might want to contact, just give us a call here, and we'll go ahead and we will give them a call and get them contracted. Then last thing, this is for you. Anyone who writes business with us, we have a marketing reimbursement program. And I can't stress how important this is, because as you write business with us, we put money into a reimbursement account. So let's just say, for example, in July, you want to have a 4th of July party with all of your clients and you spend $1,000. If you send us a receipt for $1,000, we're going to send you a check for $500. We're going to reimburse you for 50% of your expense. Maybe you have a postage, you spend $200 a week on postage, send us a receipt, we'll reimburse you, send you a check for $100. So whatever you're doing in your business, we're going to go ahead and we're going to reimburse you up to 50% of that. So I'm going to skip that question part. We'll say that to the end as far as anything that you might have, whether it be through any of the incentives we talked about here so far. So keep that marketing reimbursement in mind and take advantage of that, because it's a great way for you to offset your expenses, and which obviously can help what you put back in your pocket. Okay, so here we go. This is what you're here for this morning. We're going to talk about multi-generational gifting. Really, it's a tax-free advantage for potentially for your senior clients that you have now and for your potential future clients, as you'll see here in a minute. I think this is a neat way for you to grow your business as well. All right, so let's just take a look at the market. Now, something that we've seen, we've been in this business now 31, going on 32 years. We started with annuities. So what that means is we weren't really doing anything in the life insurance market. So we see a lot of business coming in the door. We see a lot of our agents and advisors, clients passing away holding annuities, okay? So what we're seeing is there's this great transfer of assets going to be coming up here. Over 13% of the U.S. population is 65 years old. That's expected to increase at 20% by the year 2015. So the market's getting bigger and bigger. It's just like a balloon filling up with air, right? Over 4 million seniors turning age 65 year for the next 19 years. And over 1.4 trillion expected to be transferred to the next generation every year. This is just a huge opportunity. And if you ever look at our single premium life webinars, we quote a lot of these same statistics. So there's a great opportunity for you to be helping your senior clients and your prospects that you're seeing now to help them to transfer assets. I had heard many times that like 90% of the annuities that are written out there never get drawn upon. They're passed to the next generation. So where are the senior clients holding their money right now? Well, obviously, I just mentioned annuities. What happens, though, is that when those annuities are transferred to the next generation, there's potential taxes, obviously, because of anything over above the cost basis. Any of those accounts that they're holding their qualified funds are going to be taxed fully to the next generation. There's a lot of money sitting in CDs today. It's crazy what I see out there. Here's the thing is, obviously, we know poor returns, it's underpacing inflation, and they're paying taxes on that little bit of growth every year. Here's the other thing, unneeded RMDs. We see a lot of RMDs that are coming in that go directly into the bank. And what happens, again, see the prior point, poor returns, but they don't really have a good place to put it. So they think. Excessive funds sitting in checkings or savings accounts. I'm working on a case right now where a person's got $900,000 sitting in bank accounts, checking and savings. A lot of money out there. And if we're not asking what their current balance is, we may be missing the boat. So just as something to kind of make a mental note for yourself, when you're talking with prospects today or your clients today, maybe ask them what kind of a balance do you have in your savings and your checking account. Let's make sure that we're making that money work for them, but yet not being taxed on that little bit of growth that they're getting. It's kind of lazy when it's going backwards. We see a lot of money market accounts too, again, poor returns on that. And then stock market or fund accounts. This is kind of sad because I do see this where there's an advisor, not one of our existing advisors, but they'll come to us with a client that has an advisor somewhere that still has their assets in a pretty aggressive account. We really don't want to see that, because when that market, if that market, however you want to look at it, if it corrects itself and it takes a drop, there's a lot of money that's acts, or what's the word I'm looking for, it is potentially going to fall and they're going to lose value. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that those assets are put in a good spot. One thing we're seeing now a lot of is advisors are taking advantage of the up market. So seniors are starting to cash in and put their money into some different contracts, whether it be single premium life or whatever it would be. So this is where we're finding the money. So if you're not asking your clients and prospects about where their assets are at, I do have some fact finders that you can utilize for that. So let's look at some of the wealth transfer methods that are available today. And as we go, you're going to kind of see how I'm teeing this thing up. So first of all, you look at some of the tax-free, the limited options. Clients today, they can pay taxes on the assets that they have, and then they can gift $14,000 per donee tax-free. We do see some of that. We don't see a lot of it, but they're taking advantage of that lifetime annual exclusion by gifting $14,000 per donee. Transfer assets into life insurance policy, we see a lot of that, especially when we look at the single premium life sales that we see. And here's the other thing, there's those that are taxable, where they just do absolutely nothing. And I just got off the phone with an agent today. He said, you know what, I've got a lot of clients, they need all their money, and they really could care less what they pass on to their kids, if it's taxable or not. So obviously, understanding your clients, you know where they're going to stand, whether they care to leave stuff for their kids tax-free or not. So these are really the wealth transfer methods that we have. There's the tax-free options, there's the taxable options. So let's take a look at some of the traditional methods today when we look at transferring assets to the next generation. And then we're going to look at a different way to look at it. This is where we're going to really help our senior clients today, as well as their beneficiaries. So what we see today is your typical client purchases a single or joint life insurance policy, and then children or the charity are named as the beneficiary. Okay. Something else that we see, and there might be some disadvantages here by utilizing a second to die. Obviously, when we buy a second to die, we can generally get more death benefit that goes tax-free, but one of the problems is that delays the transfer until the second death. And so sometimes that isn't necessarily what your senior client wants to do. The other thing that we see about this is insurability issues. We see that clients are too old, and obviously with some of these second to die policies, you know that some of the products will take someone who's over age 85, or maybe they'll take an uninsurable. Okay. So that's the other thing, is if you just have a single, maybe it's a widow, her husband's passed away, so there's no option of taking advantage of a second to die, or maybe she's just too sick. Okay. Part of it too is when you do that, you may have a reduced death benefit because of the fact that they're sicker, so they have to pay more for the rating, right? Sometimes we see where there just isn't enough premium to purchase a life insurance policy. So when you look at all these different things, and there may be some that I'm missing, but when you look at all these different things, something that we found out is that why don't we find a use for the money? Because sometimes what they do, because they can't take advantage of some of these traditional methods, they just leave it sit in the bank. So then it's like, you know what? We need to look at a different way to utilize these funds if your clients have legacy intentions. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to make this real simple. So we have three people here. We have Alice, who is going to be the top thing. This is your client. This is the top of the chain. Okay, so here's Alice. She's a senior, and her son's name is Billy, and she has a granddaughter named Crystal. And you'll notice I have ABC. I want to keep this real simple so you can kind of follow along. So again, Alice is your client, Billy is her son, and Crystal is her granddaughter. Okay, so as we go through this, I just want to give you an idea of what we can do today. So this is the traditional method. Don't worry about the product. I just pulled one. This is actually kind of an old illustration here. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give you an idea on how we can think towards a new multi-generational gifting strategy. So here's what we typically would do. We've got Alice. She's got $50,000. Maybe it's coming from an RMD. Maybe she's going to take a qualified account, stick it into a SPIA, and have it fund a 10-pay life. However we're going to look at this, she's got basically $50,000 that she's going to use, and she wants to set this up to pass it on to her son, Billy. Okay, so Alice buys a $100,000 policy. She puts in $5,000 a year. She's done paying on it, right? Okay, so this policy, assuming that she dies by the age of 97, is going to provide her son $100,000. Okay, that's nice. He gets $100,000 tax-free. But now Crystal, as we mentioned in the picture, she's really not involved in this because we're just going to set this up for Alice. Okay, so that's nice. That $50,000 basically was doubled. Okay, so let's look at a new multi-generational method. What if Alice wasn't insurable, or what if she, through your help, was able to think outside the box and provide additional benefits that $50,000 could provide by using a multi-generational approach? So first of all, let's look at that first generation. We mentioned Billy's the son. What she could do as an alternative, she could gift $5,000, as we had seen in the previous illustration. She can gift that $5,000 every single year if she wanted to take advantage of her annual exclusion. And what we're going to do is, by utilizing that $5,000, we're going to set up a policy for Billy. We're going to set up an income for him as well. And I'm going to show you an illustration here in just a second so you can see what I'm talking about. And then after we set that up for Billy, we're going to name Crystal, the granddaughter, as the beneficiary. So the whole idea is that now not only did she gift the money to Billy, Billy sets up a nice contract for himself with your help, and then the granddaughter is also going to benefit from this policy. And here's the other thing about it. I like to ask the advisors when I'm talking with them, do you know your clients' children? And I'd be surprised how many of them tell me no. There are a lot. So here's a way for you to pick up two new clients. You pick up Billy and you pick up Crystal. Okay, so we're thinking outside the box here. So let's take a quick look at an example of an illustration. Again, it could be a lot of different carriers because we have a lot of different options out there. So here's what we're looking at. We're going to set up a policy for Billy. Okay, he's 45 years old. We're going to put the same $5,000 a year into the policy for Billy. And what we're going to do is we're going to get as much cash in this contract as we can. So we're using increasing death benefit, and we're going to level it out. So we're taking advantage of the index. We're getting 7% here as an example. And we're going to let this thing just cook until Billy reaches the age of 65. Okay. So then what we've done is, you'll notice here in the illustration that from age 65 to age 90, we're taking out $13,715. Okay, and that's coming out tax-free because we're pulling that out in the form of a loan. And you'll notice then at age 90, there's still an $84,000 death benefit. And let's just say that Billy passes away when he's 90. And again, these numbers can be changed. We can run it to age 95. We can run it for his lifetime. We could start it later. I mean, sometimes what we're doing with these particular illustrations, we're running them a little bit later. We're not taking them out until age 70 or 67 because the retirement age is going up. So you can understand there's some variations there. But just for today, I'm going to keep it simple, from 65 to 90. And then what happens is, let's just take a look at the numbers if we put them side by side. This is really what I think is pretty huge. And this is why we look at this multi-generational benefit. So let's just don't pay attention so much to the right side where we're talking about 45-year-old Billy. Let's look at 70-year-old female Alice. So again, we took that $50,000, we put it into a life insurance contract for Alice. We bought a $100,000 life insurance policy. When she passes away, that's going to give Billy a $100,000 tax-free benefit, okay? Or what we could do is we could say to Alice, remember, Alice is too unhealthy. She couldn't qualify for a life insurance policy. Or maybe she could, but her intention is still to give it to her son. And then here's what we're going to do next. We say, okay, here's your option, Alice. Here's what we can do. Instead of putting $100,000 or $50,000 in a policy for you, we could take that same amount of money, we'll put it into a policy for your son. And when we do that, we are going to create a additional income for him when he retires, $13,715 a year from age 65 to 90. That is a net tax-free income for him of $292,875. Now, if you were just to stop there, if you were to ask Billy what he'd rather have or ask Alice what she'd rather give her son, that's a $192,000 difference if she just put it in that policy for him and drew an income and it stopped there. But that's not where it ends. The additional death benefit that's still there, that's tax-free, that goes to her granddaughter Crystal, is a difference of $242,875 just by putting that money on a policy for her son versus putting it on her life. So he can utilize it. Maybe she's still alive when he's 65 years old. I mean, she's going to be pretty old. That's 20 years from now. She'll be 90 years old. And now he's starting to take an income from it. So he can take advantage of it while she's still alive. And then when he passes away, something goes to the granddaughter. So you get the point. There's a new way of looking at passing money on to the next generation. So there's nothing wrong with the original way that we talk about, passing on, using the $100,000 for her. But if you look at putting money on him, that's a big difference. Now, I have done both. I have had a situation where they say, you know what, we want to put a little single premium policy on Alice right now, and we're going to do something for Billy and for Crystal by taking advantage of the other strategy. So there, you could do all of the above if you wanted to, but this is just another way of looking at it. So what about the ownership of the policy? Well, if Alice maintained ownership of the policy and she passes away, whatever's in that policy, remember, will be added to her gross estate. And that may or may not be a big deal. Unless she's got over $5.5 million, that's not a real big deal. The one thing about her being the owner of the policy, she can continue to maintain the ownership if she has a policy on Billy. That way she's got control of the cash value if she needs it. Plus, if there's something happens, she wants to make a change of the beneficiary, whatever it is, she's got that control. She could also make the irrevocable life insurance trust the owner of the policy as well. That way, if she passes away or when she passes away, you can have something in the ILIT that describes how that policy would be paid out and handled, etc. Once she passes away, she's the owner of the policy, then that ownership is relinquished to the insured themselves. So Billy would eventually be the owner. But for now, she can have control because she might say, you know what, something's gone wrong. I need cash value, and she can take money out of that policy. Or again, what she could do is she can make Billy own their policy, and now he's got total control of the cash value. He's got total control of the beneficiary, which may or may not be what Alice wants as far as having Crystal be the beneficiary. But again, that's another way of looking at it. There's no tax consequences on this situation unless the policy lapses, because remember, we're going to have growth over and above the cost basis, so it'll be taxed like an annuity. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Premium taxation for Alice, she can pay taxes on the asset before it's gifted. So whatever it's coming from, and we see a lot of this, if it's coming from an annuity, she pays taxes on the growth over and above the cost basis if it's coming from an annuity, for example. And of course, she could file a gift tax return up to $14,000 per donee if she wants to take advantage of that. And then for Billy, there's no taxes on the gifted premiums for him. There's no tax consequences on the loans from the policy because, if you recall, loans are going to be tax-free unless the policy is a MEC. And of course, we're not going to let that policy MEC out. We don't want to do that. And then taxable on excess over cost basis if the policy lapses. I just mentioned that. So what we want to do is we want to make sure when we run that illustration for an income for Billy, we want to make sure that we run it so that it doesn't lapse. And if it's about to, there are overloan protection riders on the policies that can prevent it from lapsing. That way, Billy doesn't have to pay any taxes on the growth over and above the cost basis. So here's a thought. Here's what I want you to think about is maybe there's somebody you're thinking about as we're going through this here that may have not qualified. And so what I mean by that is maybe they're too old and they still have legacy intentions. Maybe they're too unhealthy and they just can't, won't qualify. Or maybe even they have some money that they could pass on, but it's not a lot. It may not be enough necessarily to do anything real big on their life, but it might be more have more of an impact if they put it on their or gift it to their child. And here's the thing I like about that too is that by going to your client's children, an example here is you go see Alice, now you can make Billy a client of yours. And that's pretty simple prospecting. It didn't cost you anything. So maybe look at some of those annuities that you've written out there. Not only could they be a good prospect for a single premium life, but maybe even still writing a single premium life and then utilizing some of those funds to put in to a policy for Billy. We've done these before. They work really well, and certainly keep that in mind. So look at those clients. Call those clients that have assets to transfer that are earmarked. You may know your clients well enough to know that. But the other thing too is if you're not doing an annual review, we do have some forms that you could utilize for that. You can go out and ask them, hey, do you have any legacy intentions? Do you have any assets that are earmarked for your children or grandchildren? Maybe call those uninsurable or declined clients that you know have had legacy intentions, and maybe you've done nothing with them. You just left them in an account somewhere because they were not insurable. Then give us a call. We'll help to field underwrite those cases that you're working on. We're going to run the quotes for you. So kind of tying this together, we do that case design. This whole concept just came from working with seniors and working with you, with your senior clients. And so we know what questions to ask. We know what companies to go to for whatever the situation would be. Once you write the case, of course, we provide you the forms to do that. But once you write it, you submit the application to us. We'll order your exams if it's a fully underwritten case. We're going to scrub the applications, make sure that everything is complete. And that way, it goes in to underwriting. What happens is if apps don't go into underwriting clean, you know what happens is there's a delay. We don't want you to have any delays. We want to get those done as quickly as possible. Then what we do is we manage the case. And this is something I spoke with an agent last week about this, to understand that if you have staff in your office that has to follow up with underwriting all the time, that's one less thing that they don't have to do. So now they can do something else. They can help you to prospect. They can help you to market. We're going to be the ones that are going to manage the case. We're going to work directly with those underwriters to get those cases issued and paid as quickly as possible. Realistically, we can help you with all your life insurance needs. And I'm pretty excited to announce this too, that not only do we help you with your guarantee issue, your simplified issue, we offer whole life, term, index life, universal life, single premium life, guarantee life, and now we have a carrier that we've added on that can help you with your foreign nationals. They actually can insure people that are here that don't have a green card, people that are here visiting from a foreign country. They can even help with people that are illegal immigrants here. So if you run into foreign national situations, we can help you with that. Okay, let's see here. Looks like I do have a question. Is it possible to get a copy of this presentation? James, if you're not an IMO, I'd be happy to send this over. I'm going to send this recording over to you here this afternoon once we get this set up. We do this on a YouTube so that once you get it, you can view it however you want, and it's going to come to you just like it was here this morning as if it were live. And one of the things that I do too is I like to call everybody who's on there. Now, I know you get a lot of calls from different marketing organizations, but part of the reason for the call is to see if there's an opportunity for us to help you in a situation like this. I remember the very first one that I did like this, I showed an agent how we could do this strategy. He was going to put all the money into an annuity because his client was uninsurable. And I says, hey, wait a second, Randy, let's look at this option. And what we did is we increased his commission by 50% just because we went from an annuity to put it into multi-generational planning like this. And believe me, he had a very happy client and a very happy new client because he had put a policy on his client's child. And there's some other ones we've worked on really large. They've had like 5 children and 5 grandchildren, and they had a lot of money, and they were wanting to make sure that they could pass these assets on in a tax-free manner. And so we repositioned a lot of their assets that they had today. And needless to say, very happy agent, because the agent made a lot of money, and a very happy client because they were able to position the assets to where it was going to go on with great legacy intentions. And by the way, that agent picked up 10 new clients because of this strategy. So don't forget about it. I know you're probably not going to run into this a lot, but when you do, it's a great opportunity for you to continue to build your business and to make your client happy. And I know you're going to run into situations where your client today may be thinking, you know what, I really don't want to pass it on until I die. But once you can show them the magnitude of planning like this, it really makes them feel good, because now they know that they're helping their children and their grandchildren. And something to think about too as part of the college planning process, when you look at the scenario that we had here, if we can put some of that money into a college plan for maybe a grandchildren, we can overfund an IUL maybe for Billy in this situation. And then what happens is that with that cash accumulation in there, we could utilize a whole life insurance policy that has great dividends. So now you've set up a plan that can help Crystal for going to college. So sky's the limit here. There's a lot of different things that we can do. And that's one of the things that I pride myself in my department in, is the fact that we're very solution oriented. We share a lot of ideas. One of the marketers might say, hey, I got a situation. Does anybody have any ideas? And we'll toss out some things to think outside the box. Anybody can run you quotes. Any IMO can run you quotes and send you illustrations. But I think it's thinking outside the box to help you find a solution that makes you feel good to present it to your client and makes your client feel good to set it up for themselves and the beneficiaries, however you want to look at it. So anyhow, I certainly appreciate the opportunity to help you there. The question box is open. If you have any questions, I'd encourage you to go ahead and put those in now. And if not, I will be calling you. I would appreciate just a few minutes of your time to find out ways that maybe we can complement what you're doing today. We got a lot of great things, and we're certainly not talking about it here this morning, all the things that we can do for you. So maybe it's worth just a few minutes for us to talk. And if you want to call me when we're done here this morning, go ahead and just call the number on the screen here. It's 800-255-5055. Otherwise, you can expect a call from me. And again, my name is Mark Raymakers. You'll see it looks like Josh Trecarton's hosting this. He's the one that sets the webinar up for me. But yeah, my name is Mark Raymakers, and I want to thank you for taking time to join us here this morning. I'll email this recording over to you here once we get this all set up on YouTube. And in the meantime, have yourself a great week, and certainly appreciate the opportunity to help you where we can. Thanks again, and we'll be visiting with you all soon.